finals here on NBA TV, and it has become a ritual not only here in Oakland, but here on our pregame shows. It's Steph Curry going through his warm-up routine. Got the two-ball dribble. He's going to expand outward. He'll flip up some shots underhand and eventually go through his regular jump shot routine, culminating in the shot from the tunnel, which we all enjoy. Usually shots from the tunnel. What do you think when you watch this, as particular as a guard, when he goes through this ball handling?
Well, the first thing you do in terms of when he comes out, if you notice, he goes through his ball handling drills first. And a lot of players come out and they start shooting first. But the way to properly warm up is to really go through your ball handling drills first, because they get the moisture of your hands in terms of the sweat that you can get, you know, the feel for the ball. You start low and you come up high. He started with 2 balls, then it's 1 ball, and now he goes into his little Michael Jackson dance.
It's an important part of it.
I mean, but he puts on a show. His pregame warm-up has become a show. And that's what I love about Steph Curry, is that he not only understands that he's a basketball player, but now he's taking it to the entertainment level. You know, from the franchise player, it's like you got to give a show. And Steph Curry gives a show. His jump shot now has become a show. His ball handling is a show. His shot from the tunnel is a show. And he takes left hand, right hand shots. All the shots that he practices, these are the things that he really does try in the game, which is spectacular. And again, he steps out every night and he gives a show. And that's very difficult to do. When you come to watch a player play, or you come to watch a performer perform, they always give you that same energy, that same effort every single night, and Steph Curry delivers.
I'm totally with Isaiah. I mean, it's just a treat to watch a guy go through this, and like Isaiah said, he's taking these shots in games. I mean, you look at this left hand from the elbow. Not a lot of guys don't take that floater. Usually a left-handed shot is at the rim. He's taking them around that dotted line or free throw line, sometimes taking finger rolls and high off the glass.
Without a doubt. I mean, and the great thing about Steph, as both you guys said, is these are shots he takes in his game. He's just getting himself and getting himself ready. And you fall into that routine. Everybody has a different routine. I think he probably has the most famous routine. And certainly you see all the camera phones and fans out here looking to watch. But you want to go through the different types of shots, different types of moves that you'll make in the game. Obviously ending with the tunnel shot, but he shoots threes, he gets runners, floaters, finishes around the basket, mid-range. So just getting a little bit of a comfort zone before you go out. Now, you don't want to go too hard, but just enough to get a lather and really just falling into the rhythm of your routine and that comfort zone. Just like going to the free throw line, you fall into your routine. I think the same thing with players before games. You have that routine before every game.
And you know what, Grant, with Steph, it's the art of the performance. I mean, it's like everybody's down there with cameras watching him shoot.
And he knows, obviously,
Yeah, but when you look down here on the other end, I mean, there are other players shooting, going through the similar routines that we just described. However, he's made his an art form. So it's a thing that you just want to see. It's like walking into a museum and you're saying, okay, I like this painting, or walking into a gallery saying, I like this painting, but I don't feel that with too much. And what he's done with his show, with his game, just like all of you did, right? You made it a performance. There were other guys who shot or who had your moves, but they didn't do it quite like you did it. And that's what Steph has taken his performance to.
It just stands out, too. I covered Mark McGwire in the summer of 1998 when he was battling Sammy Sosa for the single-season home run record. And the opposing team would come out on the top step of the dugout to watch him take batting practice because the ball just traveled farther. It made a different sound. This is the closest thing. I'd be tempted, if I'm a team that plays them, from the East, for instance, twice a year, I'd be tempted to take a peek and see what's going on down there.
You have to, but as a performer, right? As a good player on a good team, that's when you got the other team. When you run out on the court, I remember we was playing the Portland Trail Blazers, and they were out there, they were warming up, and we run out of the tunnel, and Lambeer takes the ball and he slams it in the middle of the floor. The ball hits the roof, the fans go crazy, they start booing us, and we stop, and we look down at the Portland Trail Blazers, and they looking at us, and Joe goes, we got him.
And you did. You did get him. Hey, a little tactical thing for Golden State from Game 4. Steph Curry used 32 ball screens. They got great production on those possessions, 43 points out of those possessions. What do you think was working for him?
What I loved about it is a lot of small guys setting screens. I think 19 out of the 34 or 32
yeah, I believe that's right. Yep.
with some smaller guys, and a lot of times they have a bigger defender on him, or they have a guy like Kyrie and they're trying to get a bigger defender. The ball screen, the pick and roll is so hard to guard, especially with guys that can handle the basketball and shoot it. What you want is to give that little bit of an edge, and then you have that miscommunication by the defense so he can have an advantage.
And you know what, Steve, in the first 3 games, he struggled finding his rhythm. He found it there in Game 4. But I love the fact there's ball screens, but also attacking off the dribble. He got into the paint early, wasn't looking to settle for difficult three-pointers, got into the paint, was able to find open shooters. And also when you attack, when you put the ball on the ground, you're being aggressive, you're attacking. He only took 12 shots in Game 3, and a lot of those were late in the game. He came out early, set the tone with his aggressiveness by getting to the basket, and that opened up his game for himself and his teammates.
And of course, it wasn't just Steph. The Splash Brothers as a duo averaged 28 points through the first 3 games of this series and went off for 63 in Game 4. Well, once that bottle has been uncorked, Zeke, how tough is it to put it back in?
Well, you know you wasn't going to hold these 2 guys down because they shoot the ball so well. And, you know, now that the genie's out of the bottle, so to speak, you know, can you put it back in? And I don't know if they can, but that's Cleveland's challenge tonight, is to try to put the genie back in the bottle, because these 2 guys, when they get confidence and they shooting the basketball as well as they can shoot it, you know, it's demoralizing. And I've always compared their shooting to a Michael Jordan dunk. When Jordan used to dunk, the whole crowd would go crazy. You'd have to call timeout. There's only one other player that I know who would shoot the basketball from the three-point line, and the other building would go crazy, and the coach would have to call timeout, and that's Reggie Miller. You know, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, they have the Reggie Miller effect on the team and on the building, that Jalen would make a 3, and the coach would say, all right, let's go. Reggie would make a 3, and they would call timeout quickly. You watch when Steph Curry or Klay Thompson makes a 3, opposing coach, quick timeout. Draymond Green or Iguodala will make a 3. All right, we good. We can ride this one out.
What if he hits one from the jump circle, which is what we're seeing him do about 15 feet behind us right now?
Yes, and what I love about Steve Kerr in the press conference, he said, your guys have been struggling. He said, but the law averages, they'll start making some shots. I mean, just to be able to know that these guys will get going on jump shots. Usually you get going on layups and buckets. These guys get going on jump shots. It's amazing to rely on that jumper throughout an entire series.
And Steve, when you got a guy that come out and warms up and he starts shooting from half court, and then he lets one go from the tunnel, you saying to yourself, how can I guard him? That's intimidation. I mean, that's psychological. That's psychological intimidation. Like, well, man, this guy come out and he's shooting it from the tunnel. He's shooting it from half court.
Well, let me ask you, Grant. You saw a guy shoot like that on your team, way above the three-point line, and he misses it. Do you say something to him?
Yeah, and it's not Steph Curry or Klay Thompson.
Why are you practicing that shot?
That's what's so crazy now. Some of his shots I'm going, oh, okay, it's okay.
Right. No, I mean, I expect them to make it every time. I mean, that's the expectation with them. They'll take a shot that traditionally is a bad shot. It could be a shot early in the shot clock. It could be 6 feet past the three-point line. I think the expectation is they're going to hit every shot. And you look at Steve Kerr and the coaches over there, they're sitting over there like they expect it. Like they don't mind that. And so that's the beauty of the game, how they've raised the bar. And you're right, to be prolific scorers, but to do it from the perimeter is highly unusual.
To your point, I mean, I'm just thinking about my old school coaches. 1 on 3 and you pull up a 3. I mean, you would get yanked, grabbed, and threw down to the bench.
1 on 3 and you pull up and miss.
Yes.
And the coach goes, that's all right.
Okay, you'll hit it next time.
You get it next time. It's like, wait a minute.
How much changes for Steph and Klay tonight, spacing-wise, with Draymond not on the floor for them, suspended for Game 5?
Well, I think for them is Iguodala is kind of like a Draymond Green to me. I think when they will hurt is sometimes that they go to that lineup where it's Draymond and Iguodala and Harrison Barnes.
A lineup of depth.
you just have 5 guys that can make plays. Yeah, Iguodala will be out there in Harrison Barnes. It's going to be interesting who's that 5th guy when they have that lineup, when they really want to turn it on.
Smitty, it'll be interesting, but I think the thing that they have going for them, whoever they insert into the lineup or whoever they play, is their offense. And Smitty, you talked about that earlier. They move the ball, they move bodies, and so you don't have a chance to really gang up on them. They're not coming down every time going one-on-one. They get into their sets, they pass and cut, trust each other, and through their offense, they sometimes find the open man, or most importantly, Clay and Steph for the open jump shot.
The Warriors were 13 of 20 on catch and shoot threes in game 4. Ball moves around, you got shooters all over the place.
Yeah, if I'm guarding one of those guys tonight, I am just totally face guard. I'm not paying any attention to defensive principles. There's no help in recover. I mean, I'm just totally face guarding my man. If I'm guarding Steph like this and the ball is dribbling behind me, I'm just going to pay attention to Steph. I'm not going to even looking at what's going on behind me. I think that's how you have to play those 2 guys tonight.
Steph is in the now after that. Now into the mid-range, going baseline, eventually to the tunnel.
George Gervin's finger roll he's going to now.
He's just out here clowning on everybody, shooting finger rolls from outside the paint. But I mean, he's made that shot. And you're right, he is a showman. He's a showman. And that's what he does, even in warm-ups, but in the game. He plays to the crowd. He knows they've come to see him, and he's aware of that, and he gives a show when he gets a goal.
I mean, when he makes a shot, right, it's a little extra pause and a hold. It's like when Michael Jackson used to hit that note, then he would just stop and wouldn't say anything and just let the crowd go crazy. Steph does the same thing. He'll shoot it, he'll pause, he'll hold it, and just say,
and he's now taking 18-footers off the glass, which is a shot I don't know that I've ever seen him hit, but as he said many times, there's a reason he practices these, because eventually it's going to come up.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and what I loved about him, and the people say, well, he's finger roll, he's a showman. I was always taught by George Gervin, that's the way you warm up, just to get the feel of the game and how high you can put off the glass. So my routine was from George Gervin, just making sure you get English on the glass. In case when you have guys, when you go into a big guy, you just can't lay it up. You got to spin it off the glass with some English.
No, without a doubt. I mean, he's not an explosive. He's not a guy that's going to meet you at the rim. So he has to have those trick shots. And, you know, in Kyrie Irving, we talked earlier about him with the handles. He's another guard who has the ability to finish in traffic. Those 2 guys, I think, are the best. But Steph Curry getting out here early and working on that.
I think when this series is over, you know, I think we're going to look back and look at the way Curry played and the way Kyrie Irving played. And these are some of the finest offensive performances from point guards in the finals that I've seen in a long time. The way they shooting, the way they handling, the way they making shots. I mean, this is, for me, I'm in heaven watching these 2 guys play.